I've seen so many people talking about how 2016 makeup is making a comeback even though it never left my life, but I thought it would be fun to go and recreate one of my older looks from 2022. The original creator of this look is NZ Ringle. Here's a picture of her gorgeous look. That was the photo I did my original inspiration look of, and that is also the photo that I'm going to be recreating today. To create the look today, I used my Be Perfect Cosmetics Interstellar palette, and if you want to see how to create this blue graphic eye look, just keep on watching. So I've gone ahead and prepped my eyes with the P. Louise base in the shade Rumour 1. On a Morphe M443 brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Traveller, and I'm going to start to create the circular shapes on my eye. I'm going to put the eyeshadow above where my eye naturally creases so that as I move my eye, it doesn't transfer and ruin the design. I'm using a small brush that I can create some small lines, but don't worry if it's not perfect because we will clean it up when we carve out the design. Next, on a Sigma E42 brush, I'm going to take the shade Pluto. Using the very tip of the brush, I'm just going to start slowly stamping that product along the edge. Remember, this doesn't have to be perfect because we will tidy it up. I'm just taking my time at blending that color up and controlling the blend by working with a very light pressure. Because I've blended out some of those darker shades, I'm going back in with the shade Traveller and just re-intensifying that edge just so we have a nice color gradient. I am also picking up some of that Pluto shade on the same brush and using that to soften the edges. On a Sigma E36 brush, I'm going to pick up some of the shade Nebula. And the shade is going to be our transition shade, so take your time at blending up the colors slowly. I'm using a small fluffy brush just so I can lightly deposit the pigment and blend the edges seamlessly. I am just taking some of the shade Pluto on that small Morphe brush and using that to melt those shades together. I do recommend going back and forth between the shades and blending the colours up so that the blend is really seamless. On that Morphe M443 brush, I'm going to pick up some of the shade Dark Side, and I'm going to use that to deepen the blue and add some dimension to the look. Be very light-handed and build the black up slowly because black can get out of control very quickly. So now that we've created the shape that we want, I'm going to take my P. Louise paint in the shade Blank Canvas and carve out the little shapes. First, I'm going in with a Q-tip and removing the excess eyeshadow. I'm using the shape of the applicator to actually carve out my shapes. I've just picked some of that base product up on the back of my hand, and I'm taking this really small liner brush from Question Beauty, and I'm just going to gently start creating the shape I want, just following the edge of that eyeshadow and where I've just cleared the excess away. I'm just creating some small ovals and tapering them out away from the eyeshadow. Just take your time doing this because it's always easier to add more than it is to take away too much. If you think you've taken a little bit too much of the eyeshadow away, go back in with your smallest brush and just clean the edge up. On the center of the lid, I'm going to add a pigment, exactly the same one as I did in the original tutorial. On the center of the lid, I'm going to take this Peaches makeup pigment in the shade Mermaids. And I'm just applying this with a Sigma E27 brush. I'm also bringing it up to the brow bone. I'm just taking some of my translucent powder to set those carved out areas. In the waterline, I'm going to go on with this Colourpop cream gel liner in the shade Swerve. I'm picking up a mixture of the shade Traveller and Dark Side, and I'm smoking that lower lash line out. And then I'm dipping back into the shade Pluto and smoking that out further. And lastly, I'm going back in with the shade Nebula to blend it all together. On a Morphe M160 1/16 brush, I'm going to take the shade Dark Side, and I'm going to use that to create an inner corner wing. I'm just going to go pop some mascara and a lash on, and then I will show you guys the final look. And here's the final look. And here's the final full face, recreating a makeup look that I did in 2022. I love going back and recreating my old makeup looks. I feel like it's so fun to see how my skills and techniques have developed over the years, and I feel like I did the look justice, but I will let you guys be the judge of that. The tutorial for the original look is still getting views to this day. It's actually one of my more popular videos, so I thought I would do it homage and recreate the look. If you want me to turn this into a series and recreate more of my old old looks, let me know. I would love to do so. So if you enjoyed this nostalgic throwback, give the video a thumbs up, and if you're not yet already subscribed, hit the subscribe button so that you never miss a video from me. If you want to see any looks that I don't create here, check out my Instagram at MakeupWithAlix. All of my social medias are linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!